Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So, I'm Starkey, this is Phil from Driftworks, and this...
That's Phil from Driftworks?
This is the real one.
So this is Phil's black Nissan S15 practice car that is no longer black.
There's something wrong with the paint.
Something wrong with the paint.
Yeah.
It's very, very Driftworks orange.
Yeah. So yeah, I decided to, as part of a...
You decided?
Well...
I decided because Phil wasn't doing anything. So Phil had a practice car that was sat in the corner getting dusty, and he didn't have a car to practice drifting in. Did you not?
Well,
could you?
I'd kind of... So what had happened was, it's a practice car. I smashed the crap out of it quite frequently, and the last time I did that was at Macan in November 2017.
Yeah.
And then, because all the air was smashed and everything, I decided to remove the origin kit off it that was in bits.
The racing line, and
go for my favourite kit, which is Vertex Ridge.
There it is. Now, where have we seen this kit before?
You may have seen it on my old S15, the most famous Driftworks car, I think. Well, a lot of people probably don't know about it nowadays because it's been gone from. It's been gone for like 8 years, is it? Something like that.
Is it before your time?
Before my time.
It was what some people may have called the game changer.
The game hashtag, which you can't really use nowadays.
Yeah.
Someone else has ruined that.
No one is allowed to call their car the game changer.
Just so we're clear, nobody's changing any fucking game.
It's a rate, mid-mount, 2J, 900 horsepower. This is none of that.
This number just keeps changing. Was it 900 in the end?
It was 720 horsepower.
But BDC, so you make it 1,000.
Oh yeah, true. It was at 2,000 horsepower.
Yes. So
with a Summers quick change axle.
That car with said car behind, which is an 800 horsepower LS3A.
Yep.
And it's ridiculous and you can't practice in it. So this was black, and Phil was preoccupied getting the E30 ready for... How many time days have you done now?
It's not finished yet.
Oh well, there we go.
But yeah, we're nearly finished with it. But yeah,
it's been at the 99% stage for some time.
Yeah, it's incredibly complex build, which you can also see on our channel if you've not checked it out.
So Phil has been busy with that. So me, Fraser, Dan Joyce from Low Oranges said about getting this car built, ready for Phil to do some practice days. So there was a few issues that you had with. Because basically you hadn't touched it from when it came from Japan, other than the engine work. The bodywork was the same.
I've done lots too.
No, you hadn't though.
It was about 210 horsepower, and I'd already done all of the engine work. That's been done for quite a long time. So it's
aesthetics.
Oh, you're talking about visually?
Yeah, but that's all I care about.
It is all he cares about, literally. That's all he cares about. So yeah, it was a cool looking car. Yeah, I really liked it, and obviously it had my altitude adjustment, it had my wheels fitted, and
we had Master 3s on there.
And yeah, exactly. And then basically I just ragged the living crap out of it, which is what you're supposed to do. What also always happens with me, I think I've come to accept it over the years, is if I'm going to kind of start doing something, I'm going to get very carried away with it, and hence why we ended up with something that went from just like a refresh and a new kit to being a bit of a sort of a new thing, basically.
Now I like, before we just go into too many specs, I like the fact that you thought this was going to be black.
So I've been away drifting, and I've come back to find out that I'm very disappointed. Oh, it's gone orange. Lie to me. I've been so angry for so long.
Do I get some of those shade things that appear here now?
Yeah.
I knew,
on different wheels?
I knew it was going to be black, but I wanted it to be orange because I hate black cars.
You knew.
As a photographer, as a photographer and videographer, Starkey hates black cars.
I don't mind black.
But I thought it was going to be on MCOs, what Martin ran last year on the Driftworks DW32, which would have been a cool sporty.
Totally, yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad actually these ended up on the car, because I do even prefer these to the Meisters, which I know that you thought about as well. So this is, what size wheel is this?
18x9 ET0.
Yep, and then the eagle-eyed viewers amongst you may notice 19, yo! Yeah. And that looks so good.
Yeah.
It looks like a remote control car.
But this is another reason why we're going to run the MCOs, because it would have been easy. They would have gone straight on you wouldn't have to worry about getting the arches to fit.
That's it.
Because to run 19s, you do need to run at this ride height.
The arches were already tubbed, and they were kind of tubbed roughly up to there, I'd say. Maybe not, yeah. So they basically just pushed it up, and then the over fender kind of like covers a big hole. But it wasn't anywhere near high enough, and it was in the usual places where it hits, which is kind of the back and front of the arches here. It just didn't have the clearance that it needed. So Dan has, as a master fabricator, basically sent it right up to sort of this sort of line, with loads of extra room here as well. So if I did ever choose to run a bigger profile tire or anything, I'd probably still be okay. But yeah, so nothing's going to hit up here anymore, which meant that I could run the 19. Even though with this tyre size, it's not actually a massively different rolling radius to a 265 35/18. This is a 265 30/19.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you guys have figured out the fitment.
Yeah.
That is spot on. I'll just get that sort of like front 3/4 there again.
Yeah.
And that just, it kind of sits really, really, really awesome.
Yep.
And just a couple of other little details just while we're here. The eagle-eye viewers will notice there's nowhere to go fuel.
Yeah.
So this idea was taken from your S14 originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, so when I built it was my first ever drift car, S14, some people call it the S14A, Kooky.
How long ago was this?
So, I bought that car in 2001.
So how old was Connor Shanahan then?
About 6.
It was like...
5, 6?
Not even born.
Really?
Yeah. He's 15.
I'm so old.
He's 15?
15.
So this was an idea I came up for this. Basically, even when you can have over fenders and you can have the silly additional flaps or not or whatever for the fuel tank, but it always ultimately still ends up in the way. And I've had it on other cars. On my track car, I used an E90 M3 for a bit, big old heavy bus of a car, but I actually rubbed through the pipe that transfers from there to the actual tank, and it can be really dangerous. So I decided to just eliminate it and move it here like I did with my S14 back 15 years ago or whatever it was. When I did.
It's on the M3 as well. There it is. And I'm sure
And
we'll
it's
make
a lot of extra fabrication work.
Yeah,
like
hard work
it's
done.
Yeah, it's really quite difficult.
It makes it look super clean now.
Yeah, I really liked that Origin kit that was on this. When I got it, just because it was black basically, because it kind of hit.
When you say kit, do you mean the fenders or do you mean the bumpers and the?
So it was all pieces, wasn't it? But it was the aggressive line. That's what
racing line.
Racing line. So yeah, it's like super boxy and kind of unaerodynamic. And
it had the like louvers on the back and stuff.
And I didn't hate it, but I think that's because it was black and because I basically put it on the floor. I am a fan of the early 2000s drift scene, basically in Japan.
I think a lot like hip hop. A lot like hip hop. That's where drift cars stopped.
Golden era.
Yeah, golden era drift
A lot of
cars.
the youth don't respect it, and they don't know what it is, and they listen to all this nonsense.
Grime or something like that. So the thing about the Vertex Ridge kit is that it's not arches. It's not like you can't run this. You can't just run the arches on anything.
No.
So the arches go into the rear bumper. They go into the side skirts. With them.
Yeah, you can't use one bit of it. You can't choose to put.
You really do get a whole new bodywork.
Yeah.
Have you am I right in saying you messed with this bit as well?
Yeah. So
cool.
Again, in the idea of it being smooth, that's a smoothed in vent there basically, and I think that adds to it again.
Copied me.
Well,
Copied me.
I think if you check the old pictures of my old S15,
I didn't work with them.
you might
did
find
work
that it's exactly the same.
Didn't work with them.
Yeah.
You also told me to do it on mine.
Yes, I did.
This is the same.
Yeah, this is the same, and the bonnet's really cool. You know, it's just something that came on the car, pretty battered.
Which actually brings us nicely
To underneath,
engine.
which here is the masses of work that Dan's done to tub, basically, to tub the front and rear arches, and in here it's kind of been sprayed quickly, but
Well, I mean, it's a drift kit. It's a practice car as well.
yeah,
Sure. So before there used to be the battery was here. No, the battery was in the boot.
yeah, I'd moved that already.
But we had the fuse box here.
Yeah.
So that is now inside the car. You've moved some of the pipe work for what's the orange things?
turbo oil lines.
I know you've moved them. So
This is heat protection, and yeah, stuff's been moved around a bit because there's a lot going on because it's a twin wastegate, twin scroll manifold. So there's two small wastegates there, but the piping for it all is an absolute nightmare.
What's the advantage to the twin wastegate?
It's quicker spool, but I'm not convinced it has any massive advantage nowadays with modern technology. So yeah,
A Bob Warner.
Bog warmer, EFR something.
Bob Warner turbo.
I always get asked the number, 76 something or other. Can't remember.
Yeah.
What are those things? That's the ignition.
Those
Injectors?
Those for the injectors.
Cool.
And that died, so that was when they were taking it apart, they just fell apart.
Yeah.
But all of the wiring has been pulled out, it's all been tucked either down the chassis rails or hidden out the way.
Yeah.
So that was when they were taking it apart, they've had to redo the wiring twice to un-Japanese it.
Yeah, the Japanese do love a good weird wiring. I don't know what it is. Maybe one of our Japanese friends can tell us.
Scotch locks, what the fuck?
Yeah. if any Japanese person or any YouTuber can just tell us why wiring, of all things, happens the way it does. We'd love to know. Answers on a postcard.
The tubs have been added for lows and clearance because you were on the OEM tubs, which was fine.
Yeah,
when you ran 17s.
I was running 17s and I was running a 245 35 17, which is a tiny rolling radius tyre, which is why I was able to run low and still have full lock and everything. But obviously I wanted to run 18s, especially if I'm going to run non-black wheels, because kind of the darker wheels hide the size of the 17s that I ran before.
Heritage tyre?
Yeah, these are actually from the old school. These I found on a shelf at the back of the workshop here. They're either off the S14 just before I sold it.
The S14?
Yeah, back in the day.
Holy
and
moly.
or the S15. Either way, they've got to be 12 years old. Those that we've got on the back, those are just some old ones that I had on, I think on my brother's E90 or something back in the day. Again, just found them on the shelf. I wanted to check the sizes, fitment, everything with old crap. Make sure it works, and then I bought a new pair of these ready to go on if I need them.
Because these are 245 35 18 on there.
Exactly,
So quite, I like that tyre. Notched the upper chassis leg, which was another issue that you have from running low on 18s. So.
Do you do the wiring loom in here as well?
No, because it's all in the
It's
fuse
all
box.
gone.
So it's all inside.
Okay. Because
So we'd already done 2 stages of that. So Japan had done one stage where it had been tucked up, and then I'd done an extra level where it had been cut. There's a hole that it goes through. You cut and you remove the grommet and you push up even further. But as soon as you start pulling this wheel up and this tyre up closer to that, and you're on massive steering lock, you're just going to obliterate it. And there's nothing more miserable than a tiny little wire wrecking your day. Yeah, exactly.
So that's that. I think the most important change that we've done is Ganadors.
Fuck me, they cost me some money, those
They're
did.
so expensive nowadays.
Yeah, like Ganadors, again, being from the era that I'm from, in sort of the early mid 2000s, it was like, oh, Ganadors, whatever. Yeah, stick them on, smash them up. I think those
actual heritage
Were
items.
they £700?
I'm pretty sure they cost me over 650
Yeah,
quid.
it was a ridiculous amount of money.
I was just like, but I want them.
But the thing is, Ganadors are the correct ones.
Yeah.
So I've got the rabbit ears or whatever the dog's ears, the OEM, big things. But there's other companies that do them that set at slightly different angles.
That's the thing about the copies of Ganadors, is they all tend to do that. And we all know that ain't flying.
No.
It's the real deal.
It's a good look. And also, I must apologise because inside it's not quite the same place that it used to be.
Well, hang on.
So,
What's that
So that
sack of nonsense in the corner?
that is the seat that came in this car. So when it came from
By accident?
I'm pretty sure it was.
They needed to get it out of the country as quick as
We need
possible.
something for somebody to sit on. It's either a footstool or that. So yeah, that was in. I actually am weirdly quite attached to it because the first practice days and the first setup I did with this car, I was sitting in that seat. But yeah, it compared to the rather nice Recaro SPGs that were in it.
Are now over there.
Maybe in that one, it does not quite look the same. But I do like a Sparco Pro 2000 as well, especially in my winter weight. The old SPGs.
Speaking of which, Wings Wednesday today.
Winged Wednesday.
Yeah, we're going for wings.
But I do think if you are, how do we describe ourselves sometimes?
Rotund.
Rotund. that is a really good seat.
Speak for yourself.
Not you. You're a
you,
whippet, mate.
Yeah.
That's why you get round in that little tiny.
That's it. Yeah, my little
So
seat.
that is a really good seat. It still fits in standard width seat frames.
Yeah. For those who haven't seen inside here recently, there is a lot of flocked stuff. Everything is flocked that can be flocked.
And yeah, it still needs some tidying up. It's still running Link ECU and Turbo Smart stuff and everything like that. It's all working exactly the same that it was, same way it was, working perfectly. It just looks so damn pretty. That's the problem. It's almost a problem.
However, so Phil had a super rare wear wing.
A rear wing.
Wear wing, super rare. That he said, can we please just copy it because I want it, Dan wants it, the whole world wants it. Make it safe.
No, it's mine.
And he said, no, it's mine. I'm not going to. And he's wrecked it. He's ruined it and destroyed it.
Yeah, it didn't exactly go to plan that, but it might be that we've got half of it. Thanks.
Oh, we got half of it.
We've got half of it. And
So is this not it?
No,
This is not it.
So this is just D-Max copy.
D-Max from our good
So
friend.
this is the reason why it's still got holes that mount the other one in, because it's still my intention
wonder.
to put the big fatty back on.
Yeah.
It just needs.
The fatty
So
bombolati.
we've got this much of it, and then it kind of goes, and there's nothing.
We should do this appeal again. Does anyone know?
We know what it is.
Oh, we do?
know what it is. Yeah.
but it doesn't exist anymore. And the other thing we changed as well is we put some Driftworks rear S15 clear lights on.
Yeah.
So
Look good, Brad.
These are
I
smart.
believe Fraser was the person who put those in.
yes. But yeah,
Hello.
but yeah, so these were black smoked ones.
Yeah.
And we just
They got smashed into
smashed,
a million pieces.
destroyed.
Yeah. And,
That's pretty cool.
And the exhaust, unfortunately, we tried to smash it out as best as we can, but that's just standard drift car, that is.
Yeah,
If you
it's
get anywhere
pretty
near
cool.
walls, that's standard.
But other than that, it's pretty much the same car. We just got to go out and drive it. We, Phil, and I need to sit in the passenger seat.
I do have to go and drive it somewhere because currently I like it way too much. And I know that as soon as I get in the passenger seat on track, I'll be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you could bang
But
a set of number plates on it and street it a little bit as well.
That'd definitely wreck it anyway, but you know.
Yeah, but then at least you've wrecked it.
But it is, yeah, it's a very nice, pretty thing that I'm quite proud of. I'm quite proud of the guys who also helped make it happen.
Well, Dan, well, big thanks to Dan.
Dan really
Dan,
did.
you the fucking
Smashed
king,
it.
dude. You absolutely smashed it. So
Yep.
yeah, fabrication skills, on camera skills, perfect as well.
Really good on camera.
So you've
Unbelievable.
now got the second best looking S15 here.
Second, okay. What am I lacking? Is it the
Massive wing.
the massive wang?
Which
Okay.
is now available from Driftworks.com. But yeah, so that's it. So unfortunately, Rockingham, our local track, is.
Sad times.
Don't get me started on this. I'm very sad.
So we haven't got that many more events, have we?
No,
That you
but
can
we're
go
gonna
do
get to one on.
do some Mayhans, do some.
Yeah, definitely the last Mayhem, even if it's raining. Don't
Yeah,
get the crap,
don't care.
So, yeah, we'll see you out there soon, basically.
Yep. And any questions, drop us a message and
Yeah.
happy to answer. And almost all the products on here are available on our website. So the CS2s, the Geomasters, the arms, the wheels,
Yeah.
the
Built with
Nardi.
our own shit, basically. Use it.
That's the way it should be. Do it. Peace out, y'all.
Make Phil drift again.
Hashtag nearly.
Again.
Again.
Haven't done it yet. And your other car's fine. Oh,
Oh yeah, it's having a different axle put in it, but you know.
Cool. All right.
Bye
Cool
everybody.
and bye.